Whenever you are.
No, go ahead. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ken, can you please do the roll call?
Supervisor Craig.
Here.
Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Schaller.
Here.
Supervisor Bromer. Here. Supervisor Wolford is excused.
Of course. First item on the agenda will be citizens' concerns. Anyone here wishes to address the town board? Can I get a motion to go into public comment, please?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mitch, second by Kelsey. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Who wants to start? Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Randy Eddy, Senior, 3525 Lakeshore Drive. I'm almost a 30-year resident here now. It seems odd that the time has gone by that fast. And of course, we've seen a lot of ins and outs of what's happening with the politics in the area. And I'm concerned with item number G, where the airport apparently wants to purchase 3503 Jenny Laird's property. And what concerns me is when you see their maps, which I don't know how often they change their maps, but the line of where they say they might end cuts off Dr. Feist from access to the highway. It would seem, although I'm not professional in understanding what they're doing. But my fear is that this domino thing is going to go right down the block. I don't know who you folks are. I was really irritated by that Tribune article that says, somebody said they're not concerned about the income that Town of Campbell gets. Bullshit. I'm interested. Because we're all in this fight together with what we're paying for and the services we get, which are excellent. And yet apparently somebody over there thinks that our income for our taxes really doesn't matter to anybody. And I hope you stand up and say it does. Do we have a lawyer that's looking into what this is doing? I'm just asking the question, but I got more to say, but I better not, because I just get too hot about stuff. Thank you, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Ryan.
And that's why my wife stayed home.
Next? Want to go next? Go ahead.
Kevin Campbell, 2620 Delray. I was wondering if there's any way we can get barricades set out by our residents' houses over there. We'll put them up. So when it does rain, the road does flood, we can put the barricades up so no more damage happens to our properties. Go in the morning, because the maintenance department doesn't start till 7, which is what I'm fine, but this way we can help prevent any more damage to our properties, if that's possible or not. And it's been 18 months, and this is supposed to be the top of somebody's list. It's 18 months. That's it.
And we can talk about barricades. I'll get with you afterwards.
Thanks, Kevin. Hey, you have anything else for it? Next? Let's go next. Go ahead.
Hi, Tim Larson. I'm interested in serving on the planning and zoning board. I'm in my career as a professional architect, I've dealt with dozens of boards and designed hundreds of buildings. So I know the value of zoning to preserve value and enhance value in the community. And the reason that I want to do it is the same reason I volunteered to design the architectural work for the town library is I like our town and I want to help. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Next? Anybody else? Bruce?
Yeah, the property up there that Randy spoke of up on Lakeshore, are we going to have an attorney look into that?
I called Brent Smith and talked to him about it, and pretty much tells me the same thing that Chad tells me, so.
Well, the thing with it is, Brent Smith works for the city of La Crosse, so that's the wrong guy to have representing the town. I think the town ought to look for somebody else besides him. You got to put up some kind of fight. I mean, you just can't roll over and play dead on this thing. They did that, I believe it was a couple of years ago. Weren't you and me down there, Chad? about the same thing.
Was that the Dakota Street one? That
Yeah.
other one?
You know what I mean? They just think they can roll in here and take over the town. And, you know, we got a border agreement coming up. I mean, we gotta put up some kind of fight here. We can't let them do this stuff to us. This, you, as town chairman, have you put together any plans for the spring flood coming, or?
No, I had a conversation with Steve though, Vince, and what he's saying, telling me that it's not looking so good. There's sandbags over here, and people are coming to get sandbags already. We don't
Yeah.
provide sand, but we'll provide you with bags.
Listen to the weather in the news, I mean, it could be catastrophic depending on how the weather goes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, you know, town might have to hire contractors to build dikes too, so it's something that I feel, you know, it should be looked at and move on, because hopefully it won't be that bad, but we've seen in the past how bad it can be. That's all I got for right now.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Denise Rowland, I'm at 3507 Lakeshore Drive, so I'm right next to the 3503. That's the property that's on the agenda on G. And yeah, a couple of my concerns are, I happen to know the man that owns that house. I took care of that lady that died that lived there. He didn't even know what was going on. I showed him an article in the newspaper. So my concern is, I'm not saying he's not interested in selling the property, but I guess what scares me is the way they went about it. I showed him the article in the newspaper. He knew nothing about it. I sent him copies of the planning and development agenda and what went on and the decision that was made. Nobody's even called him yet. He would know nothing about this if I hadn't told him. And I know just because we've been in such close contact while I've been taking care of his mom. My concern is, you know, they say either in the newspaper article or in the agenda minutes that I read from the planning committee that this is quote unquote in the airport's plan, the last property they plan to acquire according to their plan that's on the map right now. Well, when you go on to the airport map that's in that agenda, that fan, you know, of course comes across me, us, and down a couple more properties. The only place it stops is if at the end of that fan, you know, that parallel line goes right through 3503 Lakeshore. Now, John and Jane Feist are right behind there. If that's a emergency runway plan, that means if a plane was coming over there and had to land, they'd have to jump over the top of Feist's house and fall right there. So are John and Jane Feist not affected? Yeah, we're right next door. The next concern is we rebuilt there 5 years ago, and the airport manager was different at the time. It wasn't the gentleman that's there now. But, you know, I said to him, I said, before I go through all this with 7 different government entities and get variances and pay for $1,000 worth of permits and rebuild here, what are the future plans? You know, oh, it'll be 20, 30 years, we'll never get it. You know, this is what the eventual plan is, but we won't be buying any properties. There's no money for it. But, well, of course, there's always money that comes from somewhere else that we weren't told about at the time. So I guess what I want as a homeowner right next door to that line and next to that house is, can't we really find out a plan? I mean, I want to know what the future plan is, really. Black and white, I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, go ahead, Lee.
Unfortunately, that black and white plan is a very pale shade of gray.
Yeah,
Always is gonna be.
that's my concern. That's my concern.
Well, and to go off of that one, when Chad and I were down at the city the last time and talked to the attorney, he said that was going to be the last time. Again. So, you guys know how copyright works? If you take out a copyright and you don't protect it, then the Copyright Office says, well, then obviously you didn't care enough. Kind of the same concept here. If we don't stand up and fight about that one, if we don't give any guff, in 2024 the state might go, well, obviously you didn't care enough about these properties, so why should we honor your guys' request to be a village? One more thing, and this is on the political side. the fire department got their wish and got a fire truck. If that's all they wanted, why is there and was there so many past and or present firefighters running to be on the board? Is there another project that they have in the pipe that they want to have accomplished? They got the truck. Why not just let it be? And if Mr. Malby wants to have his hand in politics, why doesn't he just quit the fire chief and run for chairman? That's all I have.
Thanks, Lee. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
One other thing, have you had much interest about the health of the maintenance department at all?
I guess so.
We've had 11
Yeah.
full-time applications and 1 part-time so far. Chad does need to reach out to them and get a little more information, but I haven't heard back from the email I sent them, so I'm not sure if you're doing that or not.
I forwarded them all into Steve because Steve's the one that's going through them. That's what he wanted going through them. So I
Anything
think,
else, Bruce?
think Steve did some stuff today.
Yeah, that's open for a little while yet, ain't it, till later in the month or something,
We did the 21st.
21st? And then how soon after that do you think that you're gonna hire?
Plan was to look at them on the 22nd, compile a list, and hopefully get interviews scheduled for the 25th and 26th, with board decision 27th or 28th.
And who's gonna be on the interview committee?
Right now, we're just having Steve kind of go through them, make some recommendations. If Steve wants to invite me in, the board said that I could kind of sit in with them and go through some of the interviews.
Yeah, that
But-
needs to be more than one person, that's for sure.
Anything else, Bruce?
That's it.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Bellamy, 1503 Caroline Street. I see Russ is here, regards to, discussion with the streets and roads repair. You gonna open that up for, any, voices when we get to that part?
Well, I didn't plan on it anyway. It's pretty straightforward. What Russ has got.
Because if there's any questions, I think now would be the time to, have that addressed.
Didn't plan on it, Jeff. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
I got a question. For
Go.
that, on that new road project, since you're going with the same ones that did our road on Del Rey, who's gonna oversee that project and make sure that it's done right and everything is the way it's supposed to be? The yards are back to where they're supposed to be and everything? Who's gonna be held accountable this time? I mean, for the residents that live on that street, I don't want them to have to go through the fight we're going through right now. When somebody should have been overseeing it.
I'm sure they'll get a punch list at the end, just like it was with the other. We spent quite a long time actually going through not just your area, but Bruce was with me on the first time we went out, and then we slowly whittled that list down. And I know we got most of that done. We got some small things, but it'll be similar, just like a construction job. We're gonna go through. Hopefully everything is as good as can be, and then I'm sure there'll be a punch list that we got to go back through. We always hold some money back to make sure we can go back through and say, hey, you need to do this and this and this. And they were pretty good at working with us last time. So but, we'll be going through with the project before it's done.
Thanks, Kevin. Anybody else?
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we budgeted a lot for street patching.
This year, same budget as every year, but we're going to try to stretch it as much as we can.
It's going to be rough.
Yes, it is.
Some of the roads are starting to look like LaCrosse Street, and we're losing vehicles in that street.
No, I understand it. So we made pretty good progress last year. Once again, we can't do it all at once. Some of the stuff's on higher priority than others. Unfortunately, the high priority list is very large.
Is there going to be some made available for us to come over with buckets and fill the holes in front of our driveways if it doesn't get done in time?
I think that's always available. I think always made it open to somebody who wants to get a 5-gallon bucket and fill a couple holes. Yeah, we'll definitely make that available. And we'll get a plan together here and fill what we can. I know the area you're talking about or one of them, but
I was just thinking we just all drive around with our pickup trucks full of this stuff and just patch them as we go.
Yeah.
It's all helping get
Thanks, Lee. Anybody else? Anybody else? Can I get a motion to call a public comment?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to the consent agenda, items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion to accept?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to business 5A. And Jeff Matty, 917 Plainview Road, request for a third dog.
Hi, Jeff May, 917 Plainview Road. Came in to license my son's dog. He had to move home. Had some circumstances where he was living. He's paying rent or paying out lease, and he has to stay home. He has a dog that he isn't able to keep there, and we're hoping that seeing he's at the house, that the dog will be able to stay with us. And I went around to my neighbors and got some signatures for approval of the dog, and there was no problems at all. If you guys know about that.
How long is he going to be living back at home?
I don't
Definite,
know.
or-
Yeah, it's not. I wish I could answer that. I can't give you a timetable on
What
that.
kind of dog?
It's a pit bull, Staffordshire Terrier. She's a really good dog. Never had big problems. Always up on vaccinations because we're the ones that paid for vaccinations. So she's 4 years old. Never have any problems at all. Quiet dog, other than when she gets excited.
Well, we all know how I feel about it, so I'll go by the motion no, that we do not allow for a third dog because the ordinance is 2.
Anybody want to second that?
No, of course not.
Anybody want to make a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion to accept the third dog permit on a temporary basis.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries.
Real
Thanks,
quick,
Jeff.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, just real quick if I could, so make sure you get in as soon as possible then, to get the third dog
I'll
registered.
come in tomorrow right away.
And then, yeah, there'll be the additional $25 for the multi-purpose.
That's no problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
5B, approval for change of agent at Twin City Lodging to Christopher D. Schmidt. Ed?
Christopher is actually here, so, as we all know, Days End has been going through several changes over the last couple of years. I'm not real sure circumstances behind the last agent, but they do need a current agent. They did have some audits and things that were done, found that they were out of compliance, so in order to continue to sell liquor, they need to appoint an agent, and Chris would be their successor, who they would like to have appointed.
Thanks, Chad. Any questions?
So has everything been fixed there? All their issues?
Yeah,
Everything?
yeah. They're renovating the rooms that were damaged by the flood, but yeah, they met all the requirements to reopen. They've been open
Harbor
for
Revenue came in and
about a month.
got a pretty good rate, but said that if they meet requirements, then they would allow them to maintain the license, and this gentleman stepped up and was willing. They never had heard of a person that was on the liquor license all this time, so.
Surprise.
The person that was on the liquor license was the old GM. They had
Oh, that's right, Norris.
relieved him from the job at Days Inn, but still to work within the company, I guess. So we got a new GM.
And since, actually, yeah, since their previous agent has since passed, so
Yeah.
he is. And you currently work, you're bar manager, or restaurant manager? or
Bar manager.
Bar manager. So you're there most of the, I mean, yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we approve Christopher Schmidt as the agent for Twin City Lodging.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? Call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move
Again,
down to.
real quick, Chairman.
Yeah.
If you could, please, so we'll need to get a duplicate liquor license printed up for you. It's a $3 charge. So within the next couple days, if you could just make it in so we can get a new liquor license with you as the agent. Okay.
Move down to 5C, approval of temporary Class B retailer's license for French Island Lions Club for
A
March.
motion to approve the temporary Class B retailer's license for the French Island Lions Club for March 23rd, 2019 at the community center.
I'll second that.
I got a motion by Kelsey, second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to 5D. Review and possible updates to employee policy and procedure manual. Mitch?
Did everybody get a copy of that, Chad?
Yes.
Okay.
They should all
Everybody get a chance to review it?
A little bit.
Okay. Essentially, it would grant the current employees that don't have sick leave a maximum of 60 days of sick leave that can be revoked with or without cause by the town board. So in other words, if abuse of sick leave becomes an issue, we can simply just pull it, and that wording's right in there. But it would afford employees who are injured or have an extended illness not to have to burn up their vacation time to continue to be paid. So, all the other employees have it. It's just the employees hired after January 1, 2012, which is what, 4? 3?
1, 2, 3. 3 and myself, but yeah.
And then that end of employment, do they cash out or?
No,
No.
it's no cash out. It's just
Okay.
strictly sick leave,
Okay.
period.
So what I did here in the packet is the first 2 pages are just a couple of the other sections within the policy manual. As you can see, the strikeouts and then the additions there just to make everything work. The only other thing that I noticed after I did this with the sick leave on page 1, probably could just strike that whole thing altogether.
Yeah. I didn't have the whole document when I did it, so I just had the sick leave.
Yeah, instead of putting for employees working as of January 1st, it was just a blanket statement. We could probably strike that. And then on the second page there, just striking the 5 personal days and converting everybody back to 2 personal days with sick leave accumulation. And then the current one that I have listed here is what currently we have, and then as you can see proposed, I just put up there, and that's what Mitch had put together for everybody. There were just a couple things in here that I thought that maybe we didn't necessarily need to have, like this last sentence there, because it's already blanketed in.
Yeah, it was in there, so I just copied and pasted that back. That
Sure.
could come out.
And then I wasn't quite sure, actually, Mitch, on part-time, because we don't currently
Have any
have any benefits for part-time employees.
Okay. We used to, but I mean, if we ever would return to that, then that would be an option available.
I suppose you could keep it in there if you wanted to, just in case we ever did decide to offer benefits to part-time. But
Anybody curious out there that wants to hear what benefits are? I will read them. Okay. Employee benefits. Eligible employees of the town are provided a wide range of benefits. A number of the programs, such as Social Security, workers' compensation, and unemployment insurance, cover all employees in the manner as described by law. Benefits eligibility is dependent upon a variety of factors, including employee classification. Your supervisor can identify the program for which you are eligible. Details of many of these programs can be found elsewhere in the employee handbook. The following benefit programs are available to eligible employees: health insurance, paid holidays, personal leave, sick time for employees. And then one of the changes is as of January 1st, 2019, it was January 1st, 2012. Travel allowances, vacation, disability, state of Wisconsin retirement benefits. I'm going to be long-winded, sorry everyone. Full-time employees shall be entitled to each of the following paid holidays each year: New Year's Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, Friday after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve is a half day, and their birthday. Birthday to be taken within 72 hours if possible. Office employees will take their time off within a reasonable time limit. Employees receive the holiday of one half holiday off with normal pay. If the holiday falls on a Saturday, if a holiday falls on Saturday, Friday will be the day off. If the holiday falls on Sunday, Monday will be the day off. To qualify for paid holidays, the employee must have worked the employee's last scheduled workday preceding the holiday and the employee's next scheduled workday following the holiday, unless excused, death in the family, or paid vacation. All full-time employees working as of January 1st, 2019 shall be entitled to 2 personal days consisting of 8 hours per day. This time may be taken in increments of 1 hour at a time. Employees may use this time anytime, however, prior approval must be received from the department head. Employees shall be paid at their individual hourly rate when they use this time. An employee that is terminated by the town shall not receive any payment for any unused personal days at the time of termination. And then I will read the proposed sick time benefits, not the current. All employees hired prior to January 1st, 2012 are eligible for sick leave benefits. The town pays all costs connected with the benefit. Each eligible full-time employee hired before January 1st, 2012 shall accumulate 8 hours of sick leave per month up to a maximum of 120 days. Here's the change that they're wanting to add. All full-time employees working as of January 1st, 2019 are eligible for sick leave benefits up to 60 days, 480 hours of sick leave benefit accrued at a rate of 8 hours a month for a maximum of 60 days. There shall be no payout for any sick time banked at retirement or termination or death. And all part-time benefited employees working as of January 1st, 2019 are eligible for sick leave benefits up to 240 hours maximum, accrued at a rate of 4 hours per month based on 80 hours worked but may not exceed more than 4 hours per month if they work more than 80 hours, and earn less than 4 hours a month if they work less than 80 hours per month. The maximum shall remain at 240 hours total. There shall be no payout of any sick time banked at retirement, termination, or death. If the employee is absent because of sickness or accidental bodily injury while away from the job, said employee will receive full pay for the period of time, provided said employee has sufficient sick time banked to cover the loss of hours. All sickness over 3 days shall be verified with a doctor's certificate, if requested by the town board. The town reserves the right of responsible independent examination of the town's expense. Such examinations can be requested by the town board. To qualify for sick leave pay, an employee shall report his or her absence to his or her supervisor as soon as responsibly possible. Employees shall notify at least 1 hour prior to the start of his or her shift. If the supervisor cannot be reached, an employee may notify by voicemail or answering machine. We should update that by text maybe. Employees hired before January 1st, 2012 will receive 40% of their unused sick leave at the time of retirement, disability, retirement, or voluntary termination in a lump sum payment. Employees may elect to use 100% of their unused sick leave and apply it to the employee's health insurance premiums. The decision is at the sole discretion of the employee. Retirement is defined in the rules of Wisconsin retirement system. Upon the death of an employee hired before January 1st, 2012, while in the service of Town Campbell, 100% of said employee's unused sick leave will be aid to the employee's spouse or wherever the employee chooses. The town will provide forms for the employee to fill out that will identify how this will be taken care of upon their death. These forms are to be updated on a yearly basis. Almost done. An employee who goes 6 consecutive months without using sick leave shall receive an additional sick day or 1/2 day for part-time benefit employees added to their sick bank, leave bank, or they can take the day or half day as personal business day. The town board reserves the right to revoke the sick leave provisions for employees working/hired after January 1st, 2019, but not those hired before January 1st, 2012 at any time with or without cause. In the event this benefit is revoked, no payout of any time in the sick leave bank shall be made to the employees. All employees hired after January 1st, 2012 shall receive 2 personal business days and vacation days according to the vacation schedule in the working agreement.
Thank you.
And what we have right now is we have about 6 or 7 of our employees that have the maximum benefit that includes some payout at retirement. The rest of the employees have no sick leave. They have to burn their vacation time if they're sick. And I'm just simply asking that it be changed back to where they do have some sick leave benefit available to them, and there's no payout of any kind upon death, retirement, or termination. So.
Okay, any discussion? Joe?
No, I don't think I get any questions.
No, I don't have any questions. Kelsey?
We know how I feel about it. I feel about the one bank, let them use it how they want. That amount of accumulation is way too much for my liking, but
I like the way it was wrote because there's not a payout at the end, and if that was gonna happen, they'd almost have to budget for that for the next year. So. You
Well,
wanna
I'm going to make a motion to approve the new sick leave proposal.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
no.
Motion carries. Let's move down to appointment of
Thank you.
Planning and Zoning Commission member. I guess that's me. I got a opening on the Town Campbell Plan Commission, and I got 2 people that would like to have it anyway, and Tim Larson's one of them back there, and Cassie Hannon, and I guess everybody, I think, received that email. So I'd kind of like to appoint Cassie Hannon to the Planning and Zoning Commission member. I think her experience would be a very good choice. So, any discussion?
I believe we should do Tim Larson. He seems like he has a little bit more experience than Cassie.
Thank you. So can I get a motion then?
I'll motion for Tim Larson to become our Planning and Zoning Commission.
Actually, real quick, the appointment comes from the chair. It's a confirmation from the board.
But we have always wanted an alternate on this board anyway, because of scheduling conflicts. So I don't see a problem with an appointment plus an alternate.
We can do that? Okay. I'd like to appoint Cassie Hannon on the Plan Commission and an alternate, Tim Larson.
Motion to confirm.
Motion to confirm?
No? No?
Do we have to? I thought this was a chairman appointment.
Well, it's still, by ordinance, it's still got to be confirmed by the
I'll make
board.
a motion to approve.
We need a second, and I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? That's all we need then, or you want to?
Yeah, call the motion.
I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries.
It's a negative Nancy tonight, aren't I, everyone?
We'll move down to 5F. Approval of bid award for 2019 street and storm water improvement project. Ralph?
We got our bids back in. We'll let Russ take over this one.
That's fine. As Ralph mentioned, we did have a public bid opening here at Town Hall last Thursday, March 7th at 2 p.m. We did receive three bids, and we actually had, I think, 8 contractors that pulled plans that looked at the project for bidding, but we did receive 3 bids, which was good. And the bids, and again, this is for the 2019 various street and stormwater improvement project. That's part of the $500,000 CDBG grant that the town received for that project. Bids range from the 3 bidders. Low bid, an amount of $931,146.93.
to the high bid of $942,000, $381.50. And that's the base bid, what we call contract one, which was the entire project that included the schedules for the various streets: Dorn Street, William Street, Washburn Street, a portion of La Crescent Street, Carolyn Street, Spurbeck Street, and Walnut Street, total project. Walnut Street wasn't part of the actual original project and budget. We added that after going through design and working with Steve. He said, I'd really like to see if that project could fit within the budget. So we did include that street and include that in the contract one bid. We had two other contracts that we had also set up. And I like to do that not knowing how the bidding environment's going to be and how bids are going to come in. I always hate to rebid projects because that's not good for you and that's expensive. So contract two removed the Walnut Street project as a bid. And then contract three removed both Spurbeck and Walnut Street. So. But as it turned out, we did get really good, in our opinion, competitive bids and really good bids. The low bid that I mentioned, in the amount of $931,146.93, is about $70,000 under your estimate that we put together as part of the CDBG grant, which was about $70,000 plus. We have the Walnut Street included, which when that separate scheduled bid item, I believe it was about $85,000. So you're totally, with what was put together as a cost estimate included in the CDBG grant, is about $155,000 under your budget. So that's good, very good news. And there are a lot of projects out there for bid, so we're real happy with the bid results. The low bid was received from Gerke Excavating out of Toma. The second bidder was Haas Construction out of Thorpe, Wisconsin. The third bidder was A1 Excavating out of Bloomer. Board, you have a copy of my recommendation letter, and then we have a bid tabulation results attached, 7 pages that includes all the individual streets, and then the totals with contract 1, 2, and 3 that are included. We've worked with Gerke in the past on a number of projects. We find them to be a reputable and responsible bidder. So accordingly, we're recommending the town board consider awarding the 2019 street and stormwater improvement project construction contract in the amount of $931,146.93 with the base bid of contract 1 for schedules A through Z. So with that, obviously you do have some money left over to consider if you want to do any more work in the town. You have money for other types of projects. So you do have the area within the CDBG project. There are some alleyways and some other street segments you could do. So you don't have to give back any of your CDBG money, obviously. You can do other projects outside of the project area too, so we can add some more storm sewer in certain areas too. So you have a lot of different options. And you might have other projects in your CIP that you might want to use this money for.
I know one area, when I talked to Lynn about it, was, I guess there's a problem alley area.
Yes.
That she was going to look into if that was in the CDBG grant area.
Yeah, when I looked at the map, right, there's the alleyway between Caroline and Bainbridge, between Caroline and La Crescent. There was a couple different ones. I know I looked at a couple of those alleys years ago with Steve, so we're familiar with some of the issues in some of those alleyway projects. So that's obviously something you don't have to decide tonight. You know, we'll have to meet here at the town hall and look at what you might want to add to the project. But obviously, we need to work with the contractor in terms of a change order or something like that.
But we can go outside the CBC area?
Yep, exactly, because the Walnut Street on this bid is outside, that's fine. We had added another 300 feet of La Crescent Street to the project once we finished the plans and looked at everything with Steve. There was a section on there that he wanted included, so we have 2 sections in the project right now. They just don't qualify for the CDBG grant because they weren't within the income survey area of the project, but yeah, you can go just about anywhere.
Well, we could ask Steve to do an assessment, but their church drive is in deplorable condition.
Yeah, that was one we looked at when we put together your 10-year CIP. I remember Church
So
Drive.
that would be a street that I would certainly want to consider, doing part or all of it if we can. I mean, that's really in rough shape.
Sure.
Please. But
Yeah, first thing we can do is we can look at the project, we can put an estimate on it, just like we did with this set of streets, and here's what it is. What do you want to do? Do you want to add that or not?
we'll have Steve maybe make an assessment of, the roads, but I think Church Drive is probably about one of the worst ones in the town right now.
Sure.
Outside the CBC area. That's in rough shape.
Thanks, Russ. Ralph, you got anything you want to add?
No, it turned out really good. I was happy with the results. I think we all should be. So, just like you say, we got a little extra money, we might be able to fix some things.
Go ahead, Kelsey.
I'm a bit concerned why we're choosing the lowest bid. Why we're not going, or why you're saying the lowest bid?
That's required per
Legally.
state statutes. You have to go with the lowest bid
You have
unless
to go with
there's,
Even if their track record over here is not the hottest?
yeah, in our opinion, every contractor, no one's perfect with their crews, but there's nothing that we're aware of that you could disqualify them from being the low bidder.
So do we use the extra money from that to fix their other problem? Instead of fixing,
I'm not aware of the other problem or if that's the contractor.
That's what you're talking about, like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, like you said, 18 months and nothing's happened. I don't live there, but if I were you, I'd be a little angry.
Well, that's not necessarily a rule, anyways, we're not really discussing that.
Well, no, I'm asking if the extra money can go towards that, that's what I'm asking.
Possibly, yeah, we're gonna have some money left over. So, but, it depends on which route we go there.
I'd forego front end to get that fixed.
Huh?
I said I'd forego front end of my truck to get like Delray fixed.
That is a school road too.
Any more discussion with Mitch?
No.
Ralph, anything else?
No, like I say, we definitely will look at the money left over and get a priority list together and
Which ones?
get it done.
Kelsey, anything else?
I'm being late tonight, I've exceeded my 10,000 words. Anybody that comes often will know these says it a lot.
Ralph, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the bid award for the 2019 Street and Stormwater Improvement Project to Gerke.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to 5G. Discussion regarding the City of La Crosse purchasing 3503 Lakeshore Drive. Just in the paper, it was March 5th, 2019. They had an article in there about they were buying a piece of property, but Denise, correct? Come in and said that they never contacted the person.
No, they did not.
No.
Tom Bice owns that property. His mother lived there.
Yeah.
And I'm in contact with him all the time. I always have been while I was taking care of his mother, and he still has not been contacted.
Okay.
Like I said, not that he's not interested in selling it, possibly. He has a lot of rentals on French Island, and, I think he was on the line as to what to do with it, and she just died December 31st. So, it was kind of up in the air, and then all of a sudden I was talking to him about it, and we were just talking about what he might want to do with it, and I was talking to him about it with it, and all of a sudden I get this copy of this newspaper because I had asked someone about you know, just the value of it and things like that, and because of some repairs that need to be done. And the next day afterwards, it shows
Yeah.
up in the newspaper, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. And it said, I believe it says, I think they misquoted the address, didn't they? Does it say 3502? So we were a little confused at first. So somebody said, well, it's got to be the park across the street. I said, no, I don't think so. So what I did is I went into the minutes and the agenda of it, is it for Cross City Planning? And I read all the minutes and the agenda and realized they were talking about 3503, so I printed off the agenda, the minutes, and the resolution, which I brought copies of with me, and shared one with Randy, and because it also had the airport map on it, because I was curious exactly where this line was, that Bev's house, 3503, was at the end of, you know, the last proposed property they wanted to purchase, so I wanted to know exactly where that fan shape went, because I had studied it when we rebuilt our house. We've been there since 1996, so it was owned by the Nords, and we bought it from Jenny Nord, and ended up rebuilding 5 years ago.
Somebody caught the mistake, and I know the online version of the article had the correct address.
I did call our attorney, Brent Smith, and see if we could do to stop it or whatever, but his discussion with me is that the city should not be doing this through the newspaper. It should have been contacted the town first. It's just not the way things should be done. That's the same way they did the last piece of property they purchased. From here, I'll turn it over to Chad, because
I did have a question. When you were talking to the neighbor?
Time out. Do we need to open this up for discussion?
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I motion to open it up for discussion for the public.
Sure, I'll second that.
okay. I got a motion by Kelsey, second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We are open.
In your discussions with him, has he had that property appraised?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No. But curiously, the property right next door, I don't know what the address was, but just south of that was appraised at, I believe, now this is off the top of my head, tax bill appraisal, about 130,000. Again, don't quote me on the exact price. It sold for 275,000. 325. But yeah, what I could find is 275 on the records I dug up out of the city archives, and then the way I saw it, but you're saying 325, it looked like the airport had bought it again for 280. So they paid over double for that, what we had on the tax bill for that property. And that was one of the things that gave it away, even though the address was wrong. We had looked up and were talking about the appraised value.
You're talking about
tax
that other
bill.
Dakota, you're talking about that Dakota property that had
On
that
the
shack,
flip- on the
that
next
had that
side,
shack on
across the
there?
street from where Bell's is, the 3503.
386 in my mind too. I think you're right. I think that's what they bought it
So
for.
it was, I helped them out. So,
Thanks, Steve. I'm going to open it up to give it to Chad now, because you want to speak on that a little bit?
Well, I just wanted to, as irritating as it is, I'm sure for all at this point, the city, whether or not they, in my opinion, what they've done to the paper is probably put the cart before the horse. But at this point, all they've done is committed or have said they're committing to purchasing a property. Legally, there is nothing stopping. There is no fight that we can really do preventing the city from purchasing properties. Municipalities purchase properties all the time. It'd be no different than us going to the city of La Crosse and just buying a piece of property. We can do that. Anybody can buy a piece of property. I think where the issue comes into play is when because they will go through that process of doing the annexation, I'm sure. They're not buying it just to buy it. They're going to go through the process. Since I've been here, we've probably had a dozen properties annexed, mostly off of Nokomis, but we have had a couple in the area off of Dakota. The city has been very good, and legally they're supposed to give us a 30-day notice, and they've been on top of that before it goes through their resolutions and their boards for annexations, and it gives the town that 30-day period to contest the annexation itself. The problem with that is based on boundary agreements, they are allowed to annex properties deemed necessary for FAA. And the FAA will more than likely sign off on that. So again, in my opinion, putting money into trying to fight something is kind of a waste because it's going to happen. And at this point, all they're doing is proposing to purchase a property, which is by any rights their legal right.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I think, number one, I mean, if we get an attorney outside of Brent Smith to look into this, possibly you could force lacrosse into giving us property equal value in another spot that they might own over here. I mean, you got to contest it, and at the same time, this other attorney could go to the estate or whatever and ask them if they would be willing to sell it to the town. And of course, you'd have to, find a price and be acceptable to the town, but, them are a couple options that you could go ahead with rather than just let lacrosse wade in there. And of course, that's the first thing you do is hide behind the FAA. They might not do anything up there for another 30 years, but they just like to take this property. And at the same time, you got a border agreement that we got to look at coming up real fast. So I think I'll need to hire an attorney to at least go forward with that stuff and see what they can come out of it. Because like I say, Brent Smith worked for the city of La Crosse, he's the head of the La Crosse Center. So you're not going to get an impartial fight out of him. Well, he's employed by the town,
yeah,
or the city.
And the one thing I would recommend us doing is looking at the airport's comprehensive plan. Making sure that property fits into their comprehensive plan. Although I do know they're going through a rewrite right now, and that if they're including that property in their comprehensive plan, it's got to go through their boards and everything else, just like we would do with our comprehensive plan for approval. And that's basically the write-off from the FAA. Once their comp plan is approved, that's their FAA approval.
The good thing is the airport voted against it, as it stated in the paper, which you got to give them credit for that.
Correct.
The planning commission didn't give a crap about it.
Yeah, their planning commission didn't care. But again, from what I see at this point right now, there's really no fight involved because all they're doing is proposing to purchase property, and that's.
Well, then we need to get an attorney to see what our options are going forward for the betterment of the town.
Craft an opposition letter. I mean, of course, it's the least that you can do, but at least they can't come back and say, well, you didn't tell us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the other option would be to purchase a property, although I think that would be a lot of money for.
Well, if we can afford a fire truck and if we can afford a piece of property.
Well, if you remember years back, the town spent $175,000 up there to purchase property, so it ain't like it's the first time that the town's done that.
Mm-hmm. Steve, you want to say something?
If she would keep in communication with the owner of the property, and he doesn't know nothing about it at this point, well, he could be belligerent and say he doesn't want to sell to him.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a willing sale, for
He's
one.
kind of in control.
Well, that's one of those gray areas. When we rebuilt 5 years ago, what I was told, and again, Mr. Torp was not is his title administrator or CEO of the airport? It was Dan?
Airport director.
I forget. He's a
Dan
director.
Dan Ruck is who I talked to. It might have been later with change order. What I was told, because I was trying to get as much detail as I could before we made this jump into a new home there. What I was told is I knew about some of these proposed plans. They had just put a big new plan on, and I read it page by page, every single one. What the plan is yes, this emergency runway, they wanted to extend that runway. This is the one that's going to go right over Beth's house eventually, or the air traffic would. Well, according to him, by law at that time, if they decide that's approved, they go ahead, the FAA or whoever, with their plans, they approach the property owners, all of us on Lakeshore Drive, and you get an appraisal, I get an appraisal, they send an appraiser, and somewhere in the middle, you get given that check, and out you go.
The eminent domain, yes.
Yes. And that's what I was, of course, could not get a black and white answer to, because, that's 20, 30, 40 years in the future, nobody knows.
That's the way the city does business.
So, as far as I know, if that's in the FAA plans, if they go ahead and move things forward because we want to grow, they want to grow our airport and they want that runway, we really have nothing to say about it, according to what I was told by Mr. Rupp.
We have a representative who lives on the island. I was just talking about writing letters, but we can always get a hold of him.
Yeah.
He's kind of in that general area too.
Yeah.
The airport does have extraterritorial jurisdiction over that property.
Jurisdiction, yeah.
City of Lacrosse does too, the site report.
And 500 feet adjacent to the center line of the runway.
And the city's got a 3 mile around Lacrosse. That's what Shelby's going through now, fighting with Lacrosse.
Yeah. Yeah, they have control over it. If you look at their flight path, there's a lot of areas that are non-conforming, non-permittable areas right now because of the flight path, so.
I fought this same item with our son's property 5 years ago. 3303, I believe it is, Lakeshore. And the airport put a stop build on their property. At that time, maybe something to look at. They had passed an ordinance ceasing all new structures on that corridor at that time, but they did not publish it 3 times in 10 days. The ordinance became null and void. We dodged a bullet, so to speak, and deemed all of our properties buildable. What's happened to the rest of those properties, I don't know. So I don't know how that would possibly affect this property.
And to me, I know it's easy to sit here and say all it would take. I mean, it takes you as residents. I think you have probably more pull when it comes to going to the aviation board, the city of La Crosse, stressing your concerns than the board is going to have with the city. I think it's going to take you guys as residents up there to stress your concerns and your opinions with them, so they don't do eminent domain. I have no doubt in my mind that yes, they probably do want to extend that runway, and unfortunately, all of those homes up there are in its way. At some point, if you don't band together, they probably will pick them off. Although it's going to take a while. They're talking millions of dollars to buy you guys out, but this is where it starts. And if you guys don't voice your opinion to the people that are making those decisions, it's probably what's going to happen.
And add another meeting to my list.
You know.
I did reach out to Clinton and about getting together with Randy Eddy and maybe some more of the neighbors up there, but I have not received anything back yet on Clinton. So.
Honestly, I don't know why they need more runway. They got the main one.
What about the 2 properties on Corps of Engineers, how do they?
Well, that's a
they
tricky
do
one there
that?
too. Yeah, that'll be a tricky one.
If they take that piece of property, do we still have to have 4 square miles to become a village, and if so, does that put us under?
We have plenty of square miles. Yeah. We could lose the rest of Nokomis and then some, and still be fine.
There's half of that out in the lake.
Half of it's out in the lake, but there are still parcels out there. There are parcelable pieces of land. So.
But they're not buildable.
They're not buildable. But
They
the
might
city.
be on the floodplain.
But the city did sign the agreement saying that they have recognized those as part of the 4 square miles. So according to the agreement, the city has recognized that.
And when it comes time, good luck holding your feet to the fire.
That'll be interesting.
Yes. That's why I say I think the town ought to get an attorney to see what our options are. To protect the town. Now's the time to do it, and at the same time, the residents band together too. So you go out and a 2-pronged front and try to stop it. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
Just
Go ahead.
addition, we need to get together then as a group.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate the town taking the lead. We can give a voice, we know people, but if it doesn't start here, you're the authority. We're just peanuts. So again, you help us. We're gonna get our best shot at doing a presentation if we're united. And if you're sitting at the table, they kind of know something's going on, not just somebody whining about the fact that they might take the best property in French Island away from me. That'd be my
Right.
feeling.
We've got to meet with the airport on a separate matter. We could
Yeah.
bring that up when we're there. That brings it to the table.
Okay.
So I think that's the best thing, just bring it to the table.
Yeah.
Make sure he knows it's a concern,
Yeah.
for starters.
Well, to see if you'll have an agenda when you meet with him too, then he might keep that off, just meet for one thing.
Yeah.
The city's shifty, trust me.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the city attorney shows up with it.
Nah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
But he
Just for
isn't
that
really
reason.
the best either, so I don't think that's a big concern.
Okay. Any more discussion? Mitch? Anybody else in the crowd? Ralph? Kelsey?
So are we gonna reach out to an attorney other than Brent Smith and do something? I mean, obviously we can't, it's just discussion today, so.
Yeah.
I think we're maybe a little bit early for that, it sounds like. Not that we don't want to be ready.
I don't
You
know
gotta
why.
be prepared.
I don't know what we're waiting for. They've already made their first move. They made it public, right?
I don't have a problem having a special meeting, hire different attorneys. Make it quicker, come in for 5 minutes.
I'll have Chad contact the Towns Association and get a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be in here having that meeting for the other things we could take care of.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I mean, we can't leave the residents hanging. I wouldn't appreciate that if that was my home.
Let's do that, hopefully we'll have our meeting between now and then, and if you want to talk to some association, we'll come back at it in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Keep moving on.
Thank you. Anybody else in the crowd want to speak? Oh, can I close that open session then? Somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. That would move to adjourn. That concludes our business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.